Welcome to the presentation of the Instructional Settlement Summary for the school year 2021. I'll be highlighting the changes that will require your vote for ratification on February 16th. First, a little background. As many of you know, the Best and Brightest plan was eliminated this year. A new categorical was created, the Teacher Salary Allocation, or TSA. It dedicated about $500 million statewide so that districts could increase to $47.5 the salaries of classroom teachers and certified pre-K teachers. There were not funds to bring non-classroom teachers to that minimum. PASCA received about $13.3 million in total from the state. 1.2 right off the top went directly to charter schools, which left about 12.1 for the district. 1.9 was reserved to cover the required employer benefit withholding. The total amount left to distribute was $10.1 million. This was in two pots. 80% or $8.1 million was to be distributed to classroom teachers who were below the 47.5. 20% or $2 million was left to distribute to all other employees. There were also some other financial obligations this year. The FRS rate increased 1.53%, and the charter school enrollment increased, which also cost the district additional funds. There were some positives: the district budget carryover of $3.4 million, as well as an additional $3.8 million from savings for non-recurring funds due to the reduced services during the pandemic. The parties met 13 times since June. Most of those first few months were spent dealing with the return to school. In October of 2020, we signed the school return to schools memorandum. I'm going to talk about that a little later. The financial settlement was reached on January 11th. The ratification process is now underway, and contract voting will take place at your work sites on February 16th. Salary increases will be in paychecks by the end of February, and retroactive dollars in paychecks by the end of March. So the return to school MOU provided some basic safety guidelines and some other specific information for instructional. It allowed instructional to have the ability to have alternate solutions to being in the classroom unmasked with students during breakfast. It also allowed instructional employees to not be required to clean. The ability to continue to teach when possible while on quarantine. It gave access to 10 days of FFCRA leave and access to an additional 20 days beyond that under certain circumstances, which were all related to the COVID pandemic. Let's start to talk about the economic settlement. So as I said before, there was approximately $10.1 million in funds from the TSA. And 8.1 had to be spent to bring the minimum salary as close to 47.5 as possible. These funds, that pot, could not be used for any other purpose. PASCO could only reach a minimum of 44.8 with the 8.1 million in funds. And again, there was no funding for non-classroom educators below that minimum. The remaining 2 million would have provided only enough to give every educator 1.5%. And it would create a true inequity for all non-classroom teachers below 44,820. We agreed early in negotiations to delay the entire economic bargain in order to have a clearer picture of available funds. That decision was advantageous, as the district was able to find additional dollars to bring equity to all educators below 44,820, as well as provide 3% to every other educator. The cost to that was about $3.8 million. One of the reasons that it was possible was that USEP and the district agreed to roll stipends of $1,568 of non-classroom educators into their salaries moving forward. Once instructional personnel received their very first check with the new settlement, any employee who was receiving the $1,568 supplement will begin to work the 7.5-hour day. From this point forward, if you're asked to work beyond that time, you should be receiving your hourly rate. The cost for bringing equity originally was approximately 1.6 to 1.7 million. But by rolling the stipends, the cost was approximately 670,000, as more than half of those receiving stipends were below the minimum. For the majority of instructional employees, the raise is simple math. You multiply your base salary by 3%, and that is your raise. The base salary is your salary for 7.5 hours for a 196 contract. All supplements or stipends are removed before the 3% is applied and then reapplied to the new salary. That doesn't include, obviously, the $1,568 stipend that is already being rolled, and we're going to talk about that later. If you have a longer contract day, then you have to compute your base at the 7.5 and at the 196 contract. Then you would go back, apply the 3%, and then recompute the new day and contract length. So let's take some examples of rolling the stipends. And you're somebody who's making more than the new minimum of 44,820. So I'm just going to take a $45,000 salary. So with the new settlement, your current salary of 45, you add the 1,568, that gives you the subtotal of 46,568. The 3% is applied. That raises 1,397. That gives you a new salary of 47,965. Under the old way, you are at a salary of 45. The 3% is applied. That is $1,350. That gives you a subtotal of 46,350. Your stipend is put back on, and you would be making 47,918. There seemed to be some confusion on the math early on, so we wanted to make this clear for everybody. So if you were making less than the new minimum and you were receiving a stipend, the stipend is rolled into your salary, and then whatever amount is needed to bring you to that 44,820 is added. Now, obviously, the exception here is if in doing that, you would receive less than a 3% raise, you will receive the 3% raise. So let's look at the example. Your current salary is 40,000. We don't put the stipend in right away. Bringing you to the 44,820 would cost the district 4,820. In the new settlement, the stipend would be put in. The new dollars needed would be 3,252. Some additional economic settlements. The health benefits, as we mentioned before, did increase, and the board will continue to maintain the fully funded package by contributing $7,174.89. That's an increase of about $153 per eligible employee. The FRS rate increase is also going to be covered by the board. That is an increased cost estimated at about 3.9 for instructional. The cost of fingerprinting, as it has been, is still going to be fully paid. So let's talk about the language that's included in the ratification. First of all, there is Article X. This is salary and teacher welfare. The change here is the amount for the cost of the health insurance. Duration always changes every year. It changes to show that 3-year rolling contract that shows now the duration in June of 2023. Addendum A is the salary language, so it reflects all the new agreements. Addendum B is the supplement schedule. So all the 1,568 supplements have been removed from the list as they've been rolled into salary. Addendum C just describes the actual instructional bargaining unit, and that's the description of who's included. So early on, the district and the union had agreed not to open any current contract language this year, given all the issues. There were, however, several new MOUs and some tweaks to existing MOUs. The first MOU dealt with the agreement to delay the opening of school and pay employees for that time up front. There were 2 MOUs which dealt with the reopening of the district during the pandemic, and we've covered those. There's new language included in the virtual school MOU to cover the new 240-day employee category, as well as some changes as far as the number of students assigned and compensation. There is an MOU which dealt with the Gulf Middle School change in schedule, and those are pretty much the new MOUs. There were some changes to 2 programs. There is an MOU which deals with dual enrollment. And although dual enrollment will remain the same for this year, the supplement will be changing next year. This gives advance notice to those who are currently teaching, should they wish to continue with the program or not. The supplement will mirror the payments such as they are for AP. The specifics are on the website. There was a new MOU dealing with a program that's been in existence for a long time. It is called the 24/7 program. Again, this program remains unchanged for this year, but it does lay out the new payment schedule for next year for the same reason. Those in the program can make informed choices of whether or not they wish to participate. Also in the ratification packet are some continuing MOUs. Most of these are date changes and a few minor tweaks. You can see the list here: voluntary pre-K, this voluntary sub-coverage, extended school year, Fox Hollow Elementary grants, the Every Student Success Act, Marchman and Wendell Crin, computer science grants, and the Title I grants. So in closing, USCP wants to thank the following members who devoted a significant amount of time to help negotiate this settlement. Please offer your own personal thank you if you know any of these members. They included our President, Don Peace, our Vice President, Gina Coley, and members Christine Barrett, Diane Cunningham, Aaron McWilliams, Karen Pierce, Gloria Mao, Jan Stern, Janet Tolson, Phi Ho, and Jeff Larson, and myself as staff. I hope that this recording has given you a fuller picture of the ratification process. All documents are on our website. If you have questions, please contact your rep at the worksite. Thank you.